Hello you guys, it's Grace, and today I'm going to be doing a little book talk on A House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. This is the first book in the Crescent City series, and I'm beyond excited to see where it goes from here. If you haven't read this, now is the time where you leave, because we're going to get into some real spoilery things right now. Okay, so first things first, I love the first few chapters where it was just kind of setting up Danica and Bryce's friendship. I thought it helps the readers understand the other characters' thoughts about Bryce later in the novel and how it was easy for them to think that Danica could have been like in trouble or doing things she wasn't supposed to do. One thing that I wasn't like that impressed by in the beginning was the introduction to Connor. The night she finally agrees to go on a date with him, he dies. Like, I don't feel like we had enough time to get to know Connor, so it was harder for me to understand his importance to her, because in the beginning he seemed more like this awkward side character that you just didn't get a whole lot of information about. And then also getting to see like her party side in the beginning and how Danica's like the party queen and they're just known as these party girls that just go out, they drink a lot, they do a lot of drugs. Danica, even though she has all this power and she's like the leader of this super powerful pack of wolves, she's still just like, oh, she's just this party girl, like whatever. Like, I feel like her and Bryce lose a lot of respect for being partiers. But then once everyone's like killed, Bryce obviously is just super upset, obviously. So she stops drinking, stops doing drugs, like all that stuff, even though she still lets society assume all of these things about her and assume that she's still doing these things, but she's not. And then she also starts to lose her friendships with these other two girls that she's always been really close with. Bryce is kind of all alone, and it kind of just like flashes forward, I think, 2 years after the death, where she's just working at Jessica's antiquities shop and she's just not super happy. She has her little pet shrinks, and then Leheba, the little like fire sprite who she works with, and they're kind of like pals, but Bryce doesn't really treat her like a pal a lot of times. And Bryce gives up dance. She refuses to heal the injury on her leg. Like, all these signs of just guilt and not wanting to do anything else or do anything that she feels like makes her happy. And she doesn't want to be happy because she feels like she can't be happy without Danica. And then, like, very shortly after that, we get to learn more about Hunt and all of the things that he is going through. So we learn about Hunt's deal with Micah, how Micah is forcing Hunt to repay him for the rebellion with assassinations, basically. And we also meet Isaiah, who is like one step above Hunt, it sounds like. Honestly, I thought Micah was a nice guy too at first. I was like, oh, Micah, he sounds pretty decent. Like, he has to make Hunt do all of this stuff because otherwise he would be seen as lenient or whatever. And then when he offers Hunt the deal that if he can solve this case with Bryce, then he chops off all of his debts and all of the people that he would have to kill down to 10. I was like, wow, this guy's pretty fair. Of course, we learn more about Micah at the end, which I'll talk about later. The other thing that really was like trippy to me was when Micah asked Bryce out. I was like, let's see, is he doing this to make Hunt jealous, to like show Hunt that he has no power and that Micah can just take this girl that Hunt obviously had feelings for? Did he actually have feelings for Bryce? Or was it just part of the plan, his big evil plan for getting the horn and all of this other stuff that we learn about later? It was very strange. I was like, okay, that was random, was not expecting that. Like, we get Bryce as this sussy lady. Seems a little off-brand for an archangel to be like, yeah, half-breed. And once Hunt and Bryce like get paired up, I thought it was really interesting because Hunt was basically told to follow her at first because they thought she might have been guilty. But then later, it's found out that the Autumn King wants Bryce to be watched as well. So Rune is like, yeah, so I can watch you, like I can be your live-in bodyguard. And then she's like, nah, I'll take Hunt. Because at first she didn't really want anything to do with him. She just thought, well, you have to be here, whatever, but I'm not gonna make this easy for you. You can go sleep in the rain, have fun, and then slowly like starting to trust him more and eventually letting him move in with her. And then they slowly find out more little bits and pieces of each other. Originally, Hunt totally underestimates Bryce. He's like, wow, she's just a party girl, just like the rest of the world thinks about her. She's a party girl, she's stupid, she doesn't care about this quest, this whole mission, and I just want my freedom, and she just doesn't care. But then he ends up finding these little details about her, like Jelly Jubilee, the little like horse things that he finds in the closet. That scene was so funny. I loved it. It was so lighthearted, but it also said a lot about Bryce, and it made her seem a lot more human. It reminds us, oh, she did have a childhood, she does have parents that love her, and then it tells us even more about how she wasn't really respected as a kid either, because she was half Fae, so she didn't fit in with like the humans, but she didn't really fit in with the Fae either, and she was just kind of in this purgatory of friendship where she just didn't have a lot of people that were willing to give her a chance. The thing that really took the cake for me with making her more likable was the whole thing with Shrinks. Shrinks was getting sold into a bad situation, and Bryce decided to take on even more debt so she could have Shrinks instead and save him from that horrible situation. And I think it really struck a chord with Hunt, being someone who is a slave and being forced to be with someone and be indebted to Micah. Both of them are struggling with things that have happened in the past. Hunt had his relationship with Shahar, Bryce had her relationship with Connor, and then Bryce's friends dying and Hunt having this big rebellion he was a part of, and seeing all of these tragic things happen and having to kill people all the time at Micah's whim. I thought it was really poignant and just beautiful when, like, sad, but you know what I mean, when Hunt comes back that time from killing that group of people and having to do it slowly, and he's covered in blood and he's just like obviously in a very bad place, and Bryce goes and helps rinse him off and like takes care of him, puts him to bed, like all of this stuff. It broke my heart, because Hunt was like, yeah, no one has ever cared for me like this, and it was so beautiful, and it showed those walls just like crumbling down between the two of them and showed just how good they were for each other in that time. On Danica's birthday, I believe, she went to the bakery and got like that box of baked goods, just like Danica always liked to do on her birthday. It was just really sad when she opened it up and saw, I think it said like trash, or I don't remember what was written on it, but it was not a good thing. And then Hunt went like all psycho and went and yelled at Emily in the bar and yelled at the wolf pack and just like got all fierce and protective. And then Ethan, you could tell he was a little bit upset that Emily had done that and wasn't a part of it. So that gave me hope for their relationship later on, since Ethan was Connor's little brother, and it was obvious that Bryce was very distraught at having him mad at her too. But then Hunt gets his wings ripped off. Like, what the heck? So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the video here because the whole clip is well over 25 minutes, so I decided to make it into 2 parts. So if you're interested in watching the second part, I will leave it linked in the description below, and you can go watch it there. See you then!